Hey everyone, welcome to Science-Based Fitness. Today we're discussing 5 of the best hiking exercises that are going to make you a better hiker on the trails. Hiking itself is a great exercise and it's probably one of the best ways to become a better hiker, but if you're someone that's maybe training for a longer hike or maybe for a mountain hike like myself, then these 5 exercises will be a game changer. Now, if you're new to the channel, every year I try to make my way to the Adirondack Mountains, which are a few hours away from me, and hike some of those peaks. Now, I'll link to a playlist at the end of this video if you're interested in watching any of those. Now, I was really inexperienced when I started these hikes, but I do have a degree in exercise science and I'm a personal trainer. So I said, hey, let's look at the mechanics and the science behind this and create exercises that are specific for hiking. So let's get right into those. Also, let's get away from this here where I set the camera. I definitely feel like something's living underneath there. Okay, let's head over to the gym here, but before I reveal these exercises, I need to explain my 3 criteria that I use for the selection process. First, we need to work muscles that are involved in hiking. Now, yeah, this seems pretty obvious. It would be a pretty terrible video if we didn't. The second is balance. Hiking always seems to add in some diverse landscape with rocks, down trees, mud, or sand. Training our balance can help us better prepare for this. And third is unilateral movements. This means that we're going to be working one side, and in our case, only one limb will be doing majority of the work. Training this way will improve our balance and address any instabilities we may have. So now let's look at these exercises and stay tuned all the way to the end because I'm going to throw in a 6th bonus exercise that I just wanted to include. I think is one of the best for hiking. You know what, actually this seems like too much of a tease. Okay, let's just start with that bonus exercise. And here is the stair stepper. I didn't want to count it originally because it's cardio, but it's truly one of the best. This incorporates our quads, glutes, and hamstrings and works our cardiovascular system. If you're hiking any type of steep mountains, you'll be glad you did a few cardio sessions on this. All right, now to my number 5, and these are not in any specific order, they're just exercise that I listed, is going to be step-ups. This movement you'll see hip extension and knee extension. It's gonna work our quads, our glutes, and our hamstrings. And you can also see that this is unilateral, where just one foot is doing the majority of the work. During this type of step, we spend a lot of time on just one foot. This will work our hip stability, which gets overlooked a lot. Now we can modify this exercise by adding height to our step or adding weight. You can also see here I'm doing what I call a suitcase carry essentially. This is where we hold just one weight on one side. This increases core activation and stability. So give this a shot. Number 4 is side lying hip abduction. This here targets our glute medius primarily. This muscle plays a huge role in hip stabilization, like I mentioned in that first exercise, and this is a great way to target that glute medius. For more advanced individuals, you can use a band. Now, this gets really hard quick, and honestly, I'm struggling here just to make it look like I'm not struggling. And you'll notice it's another unilateral movement where only one side's being trained at a time. Definitely try mixing these in. Exercise number 3 here is a hip thrust, and I love my hip thrust, and this isn't necessarily how I would always set this up, but I'm just using the step as my bench to put my shoulders on. And normally I would load this pretty heavy, but I want to focus on the unilateral style of movement here. You can see me repping this out with a light weight. This is a great way to train this for beginners. A more challenging version of this than the normal hip thrust will be just one side at a time. You can elevate that one foot into the air, or you can place it flat on the ground. When you do this exercise, try to focus on maximizing the height you can get with your hips. This exercise does a great job of training those glute muscles. Moving on. All right, now number 2 is lunges. This here again is another movement that is unilateral, developing those quads, glutes, and hamstring. Now lunges aren't overly complicated, but what I like to mix in that can make it a little bit more challenging is backward style lunges. This works what is called our proprioception, which is essentially the way that we perceive and sense the position and movement of our body. Just make sure you're in a safe space so you don't stumble side to side when trying this. Now, one of the other ways I like to train this is the same as I showed earlier with the suitcase carry, holding one weight on one side. This mixes in more core activation and can work on our balance. So mix this in. Now, number 1 is calf raises. Now, when I first hiked Whiteface Mountain, I wish I worked my calf muscles more. These muscles got tired and started tightening up a little bit, and I had to stop and stretch them out a few times. So even though calf muscles are smaller muscles, make sure you don't neglect them. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found some value. If you did, hit that like button, consider subscribing. Right up here is that Adirondack playlist, and over here is a video that YouTube recommends for you. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a good week.